What I'm going to use is the FillSync tool. FillSync is a tool used to modify the elevation values of cells where water may become trapped. In other words, if a cell is surrounded by higher elevation cells, the water is trapped in that cell. So what FillSync is going to do is try to fill in those little cells that maybe lower in elevation compared to its surrounding cells, which may cause water to be trapped. So to do this, I am going to go into my ArcHydro tools, into terrain processing, into the DEM manipulation, and look for the tool called FillSync. I'm going to drag and drop that tool down here into my model builder, and you can see on the input it's looking for a DEM. I'm just going to go ahead and delete that one. I'm going to drag and drop my terrain in here. Oops, didn't mean to double click. Up here I do have a terrain here, and I could connect another line across here, but it'll just make my model a little bit messy, so I really don't want to do that. So instead I just grabbed a whole new terrain and just dragged and dropped it here. It's pretty much the same as this one. Each variable needs to be unique, so if it's not unique it'll add the number 2 after it. So now I'm going to create a connection, connect this into FillSync as an input DEM. I'm going to right click on FillSync and go to Open. And where it says Output, I need to make sure that this is going to end up into my geodatabase. So it looks like I may need to create a folder connection. So I want it to go to eProjects Monarch Park GIS. So if you don't have a folder connection, you'll need to create one. And I need to go into my geodatabase, and this is where I want to save this. I'm just going to call it FLLSNK, and then click Save. And then fill threshold is optional. I'm not going to enter one. Input derange polygon is also optional. I'm also not going to input one. I usually always check in is FillSync, so that field is enter in, so we know exactly which cells were designated as FillSync, or ArcHydro felt that it was a FillSync and it filled that in. So from here I'll click Apply, and then I'll click OK, and I'm going to go ahead and right click and run this tool to see what we get. Once it's done, I'll go ahead and click Close. Minimize this window, drag my map over here to the left, and I need to create a new folder up here, new group layer, and I'm going to call this one Hydrology. And I'm going to grab my FillSync and put it in Hydrology. Now this looks fairly similar to our regular terrain map, and it actually isn't, because recall that it looked for little potholes and tried to fill those in. So even though it looks like it's the same, it's not exactly the same.